Our next speaker for today is Dhandapani. He served for 10 years as a Hindu monk in Hawaii. He is currently a Hindu priest and an entrepreneur. He did ask me to briefly explain the markings that are on his forehead. He said that that is monk Wi-Fi. And he has 3 bars more than most of you. He will be speaking to us today about how to apply some spiritual tools to our personal lives and to our businesses. As accountants, I know that you think spiritual tools must mean some sort of presentation on intangible assets. Not true. Not true. Just very quickly. Are you awake? Okay, please welcome right now Dhandapani.
Thank you, everyone. Well, good morning, everyone. It's such an honor and absolute pleasure for me to be here today. Firstly, thank you, Zero, for inviting me to speak at ZeroCon. It tells me a lot about a company that wants to invite a former Hindu monk and a Hindu priest to come and speak about the mind, focus, and energy. It tells a lot about the company and where they're going and how well they'll do for being so open-minded. So good for you, Zero, for doing that. And thank you to all of you for coming here today. What a wonderful turnout. So today's talk is about how we can go about living more conscious lives, be more conscious about the lives that we lead, and also about how we can be wise about managing and investing one of life's most precious resources, which is really our energy. So life truly is a manifestation of where we direct our energy. What do I mean by that? Let's look at energy the same way we look at water. If I took a watering can and I watered a garden bed, would the weeds grow or the flowers grow? Which would grow? Both, right? Water has no ability to discriminate between the weeds and the flowers. Whatever I water will grow. Energy is the same way as well. If I took my energy and I invested it into something or someone positive, it will grow and become more positive. If I took my energy and invested it into something or someone negative, it will grow and become more negative. Energy has absolutely no way to discriminate between positive and negative. Whatever I put my energy into, it will start to grow and manifest in our lives. So your life right now is really a historical record, a proof of where you've been investing your energy over the years. So life truly is a manifestation of where we invest our energy. So in the concept of looking at how we manage and invest our energy, where do we start? We start with the world's greatest tool. I'm not talking about Zero, even though it is wonderful. I'm talking about the mind, right? We all have a mind. It truly is the world's greatest tool. We've all been given one. The mind created the smartphone that all of you are using. It created laptops, computers. It's got a rover on Mars that's driving around now, picking up stones, analyzing data, sending it back to us. But the one interesting thing, we have the most amazing tool sitting inside our head, but the one thing that we don't have is a manual on how to use it, right? We've never been given a manual for the mind. You buy a point-and-shoot camera, which sole purpose is to point and shoot, yet it comes with a 70-page manual. You buy clothes. Your clothing comes with manual. There's a tag inside your blouse or your shirt that tells you if you should wash it in cold water or hot water, if it should be dried in low heat or high heat, laid flat on a table, hung on a clothesline. Food comes with manual telling you how to cook the food, how to prepare and cook the food. But yet, the mind, the most powerful tool in the world, comes with no manual. And we wonder why we struggle with our lives, because we don't know how to use it, and we've never been taught how to use it. When I joined the monastery, one of the first things my guru asked me is, do you know how the mind works? And I said to him, no, I don't. And he says, well, we have to start there. Because it's impossible for you to create and manifest what you want in life if you don't even know what you're working with. Imagine subscribing to Zero and yet having no idea how Zero works. what would you be able to create with it? Not very much, right? You have to understand the software. So today we're going to start by understanding how the mind works, right? So one of the key concepts of understanding the mind is understanding the difference between awareness and mind. Okay? This is a monk's perspective, a monk's experience, and my own personal experience of how the mind works. We have to understand the difference between awareness and the mind. And I have to say to you that this is probably the most important thing I can share with you. I remember an entrepreneur asked me once, he said, Dhandapani, what's the most important thing, if there was one thing you could share with me after living 10 years as a celibate monk in a cloistered monastery, what would it be? And I said to him, it would be about understanding the mind. Because if you can understand how the mind works, you can control it, and if you can control it, you can direct it and create what you want in life. So let's define what awareness and the mind is. So I'd like to define awareness as a glowing ball of light. So imagine an orb, so to speak, a glowing ball of light that can float around. Let's call that awareness, okay? And let's put that aside. Let's define what the mind is. Let's define the mind as a vast space with many different areas within it. One area of the mind is angry, one area of the mind is happy, joy, sadness, jealousy, food, sex, art, accounting, all kinds of things, right? And your awareness can travel within the mind. Your awareness, this glowing ball of light, can move within the mind, and wherever it goes within the mind, it lights up that particular area of the mind, and you become conscious of that area of the mind. So if my ball of light, my awareness goes to the angry area of the mind, it lights up the angry area of the mind. I become aware of being angry. Am I angry? No, I am in the angry area of the mind. If my awareness goes to the happy area of the mind, it lights up the happy area of the mind. I become aware of being happy. Am I happy? No, I'm in an area of the mind called happiness. And we can use our willpower and our powers of concentration to move our awareness, this ball of light, to any area of the mind that we want to go to for a period of time. Okay? And here's the most important thing. Where our awareness goes, that is where our energy is flowing. So if life is a manifestation of where we direct our energy, and if we want to control where energy goes, the first step is to control where your awareness goes within your mind. So if your awareness is going to an angry area of the mind, that's where your energy is flowing, and it's actually strengthening the muscles in that area of the mind. Okay? That's the theory of it. I'm going to spend a little time explaining this because for me this is probably the most important thing that I can share with you. So let's look at a real-life application of this. You've all gone to the movies before, right? Your friend calls you up and say, hey, let's go watch Mission Impossible 16. So like, okay, let's go see what Tom's up to. So you take a shower, you get dressed up, you go to the movies, you buy enough popcorn to feed a whole village in India just for yourself. You're sitting there chatting with your friends, watching the movie. The lights are on. Finally, the lights go dim. Everybody goes silent, right? The movie comes on. And if it's a great director or a great producer, that person can take your awareness for the next hour and a half or 2 hours and move it to any area of the mind they want it to go to, right? It can start off being very thrilling, very exciting, very scary. For example, if you're watching a Bond movie, you know the first 10 minutes is going to be very exciting. That's how every James Bond movie starts, right? So the first 10 minutes, your awareness has gone from chatting with your friend, going to a very exciting area of the mind. Then the first 10 minutes end, the credits come on, there's usually silhouettes of naked women and credits. That's every Bond movie, right? So awareness might go from an exciting area of the mind to a sensual area of the mind. And after the credits, what happens next? They usually go back to MI5, right? They're looking at new watches for Bond, new cars, and special gadgets. Now awareness might go to an area of the mind where it's very creative or intriguing. And then awareness can go to a scary area of the mind, to an angry area of the mind, to exciting area of the mind, and finally you see 2 words on the screen, and it says the end. And you turn to your friend and you go, wow, what an amazing movie. But you've allowed the director, you've paid them $10, $15, $20 to take your awareness from one area of the mind to another, right? You've given them permission. This is what actually happens all day long. All day long, people give other people permission and things around them permission to dictate where their awareness goes in their mind. And they become slave to everyone and everything around them. And their energy is literally going all over the place. To gain mastery over your mind is to really gain mastery over where your awareness goes in your mind. When people say, my mind wanders all the time, technically, that's a false statement. Your mind actually does not wander. It's your awareness that's moving within the mind. Okay? So that's the theory behind it. Let's do a practical exercise to see if this actually is true or if it's just some monk woo-woo talk. Okay? For that, I need audience participation. I need all of you to sit up straight in your chair. So if you have something in your lap, you can place it on the ground. If you're leaning back in your chair, please sit forward. Okay? Keep your spine nice and straight, your eyes closed. Okay? Keep your head nicely balanced on top of your spine. Take a slow, deep breath in. Slowly inhale, and slowly exhale again. I want you to become aware of the room. I want you to become aware of the chair that you're sitting on. Is it comfortable? Is it not comfortable? How's the temperature in the room? Is it warm? Is it cold? Can you hear the humming of a generator outside towards your right? Now I want you to become aware of the most recent wedding that you attended. Do you remember whose wedding it was? Your eyes are still closed. You're thinking about the wedding. Do you remember who it was that was getting married? Were you happy for the couple? Think as much detail as you can about the wedding. Was it a big wedding? Small, intimate wedding, close family and friends, maybe 30, 40 people? Or was it large, 400 or 500 people? Do you remember what you wore to the wedding? Do you remember what the bride wore? Did she make a good choice with her dress? How was the food? Do you remember how much you drank? Was the alcohol free? Did you dance? Some crazy wedding dance? Now I want you to become aware of the most recent vacation that you went on. Do you remember where it was? What kind of vacation was it anyway? Was it a yoga retreat? Was it a surfing trip? Was it a ski trip? Hiking, trekking, road trip? Your eyes are still closed. You're thinking about the vacation. How was the weather at the destination? Was it cold? Was it snowing? Was it raining? Humid, hot, dry? Did you spend a lot of money? Did you not spend a lot of money? How was the food? Was it good? Spicy, bland? Did you get sick eating the food? Try and think everything you can about the vacation. Now I want you to become aware of the room again. Your eyes are still closed. Become aware of the chair that you're sitting on. Become aware of your spine. Are you hunching? Are you sitting up straight? Can you hear the air conditioning outside the tent to your right? Okay, slowly open your eyes and relax back in your chest. Well, thank you so much for doing this exercise with me. The exercise was really to prove two things to you. One, there's a clear separation between awareness and the mind. Two completely different things. Second is, you can actually take your awareness and move it to any area of the mind you want it to go to. You just gave me permission to do that, right? I kept your awareness here in the room. You were thinking about the generator outside, the chair you're sitting on. I took your awareness to the wedding. How many of you were thinking about the wedding today? Probably not very many. You went to the wedding and you started thinking about it, and I kept your awareness there by perpetually asking you questions. How do I know you were thinking about the wedding? Well, I had my eyes open, you had your eyes closed. When I asked questions, I could see the reactions in your faces. Did the bride make a good choice with her wedding dress? A couple of you went, like, okay, bad choice, right? And then you went from the wedding area of the mind, you went to the vacation area of the mind, right? And you started to think about the vacation, and I kept you there by perpetually asking you questions. And when you were in the vacation area of the mind, you were no longer thinking about the wedding. And then you went from the vacation area of the mind back to the room. And I kept you here by asking very specific questions, whether you were sitting up straight, hear the generator outside. I took your awareness from one area of the mind to another. And this happens all day. All day long, we allow people and things around us to dictate where our awareness goes. And where our awareness goes, that's where our energy is flowing. And where our energy is flowing, that is what is manifesting in our life. If you want to create what you want to create in your life, you have to be very mindful of where you direct that energy. And in order to direct that energy, you first need to be able to control awareness and focus it single-pointedly on one thing. If you allow someone or something to dictate where your awareness goes, then your energy is going all over the place and nothing is really going to manifest in your life, right? And you can play this game all day of moving awareness in the mind. Let's try one more thing. Do you remember your first kiss? Do you remember? Where was it? At the back of Dad's car? Behind the garage? What was that experience like? Were you nervous? Was it fun? Some are giggling, some are smiling, some are embarrassed. Do you remember what it was like? Do you remember it in your mind? Do you remember the first time someone you loved, someone really close to you, passed away? Someone that was very dear to your heart. That truly meant something to you, passed away. Do you remember the time when you got that phone call? Or found out about it? How did you feel? Do you remember the time when you saw the body, or you were standing next to the body? What was that experience like for you? Painful? Isn't that interesting? Within a space of a minute, we all went from a giggly, laughing, embarrassed area of the mind to a really sad, quiet area of the mind. 980 people in the room, and your awareness just went from one experience to a completely different experience. And we can do this all day. I can take your awareness to an angry area of the mind, you'd get all angry and get up and leave. Right? And this happens all day, and this is really important to understand. So where awareness goes, energy flows, and we need to be able to understand there are two completely different things, awareness and the mind, and our goal is to control where awareness goes in your mind. How do we do that? We need to learn concentration, and we need to develop willpower, okay? The first thing we want to do is to learn how to concentrate. Let's start by defining what concentration is. I'd like to define concentration as the ability to keep your awareness, that ball of light, on one thing for an extended period of time. So if I can keep my awareness on you without it drifting somewhere else, I'm concentrating. And if it starts to drift away, I'm being distracted, then I use my willpower and bring my awareness back to you. It's in my humble opinion that people can't concentrate for two reasons. One is that they've never been taught to concentrate. Two is they never practice concentration. How many of you here, growing up in school, had formal classes every day, the same way you had classes on English and math and science every day, week after week, month after month, have classes on concentration? It's so amazing. I travel all around the world and ask this question. Nobody puts their hand up. How many of you here, when you were growing up, were told to concentrate? How many of you have kids? How many of you tell your kids to concentrate? Isn't that interesting? People tell you to concentrate, but they don't teach you how to do it. I got told to concentrate all the time when I was growing up. Dhandapani, concentrate on your homework. Dhandapani, concentrate on eating your food. Anybody want to show me how to do it? No. So if you don't teach someone how to concentrate, and they don't practice concentration, how would they be good at it? People are good at distraction because they practice it all day. You become good at whatever it is you practice. And if you don't learn concentration and you don't practice it, you'll never be good at it. Even kids. If you have kids and your kids can't concentrate, you need to ask yourself a question first. Have I actually taught my child how to concentrate? Imagine handing them zero and asking them to use it. Well, you train them how to use the software first, right? Before you can expect them to use it well. So if you haven't taught them how to concentrate, how can you expect them to concentrate? They naturally would be distracted because that's what they practice all day, and you become good at whatever it is you practice. Right. Concentration has many, many benefits. One is that it creates a deeper relationship with people, and it's also one of the highest forms of love and respect, to give someone your undivided attention. Another benefit of concentration is the power of observation. In monk language, we call it the mountaintop perspective. If I go to the gym and I lift weights every day, I'll gain muscle, right? It's a natural byproduct of lifting weights. If I concentrate every day, a natural byproduct of that is the power of observation. What is the power of observation? You could almost say that your awareness is so high up in your mind, it gets to see the big picture. How many of you have ever seen a live soccer game on TV with friends? Oh, quite a few of you. Okay. So you're sitting there watching the game, the guy's running down the field with a soccer ball, and everybody in the room saying, pass it to him, pass it to him. And he passes it to somebody completely different. What's the reaction in the room? Oh, right? You idiot. How much is the idiot getting paid? About $40 million a year, maybe before endorsements? So why is he the idiot and you're the genius all of a sudden? Because you're watching the game from the camera on top of the stadium, right? You get to see the big picture and therefore are able to make a better decision. That really is the power of observation. And the power of observation comes as a byproduct of prolonged states of concentration. For me, I found that one of the greatest things that's helped me be an entrepreneur ever since I left the monastery 8 years ago is my ability to concentrate and observe, because then I can see opportunities in front of me, I see pitfalls in front of me, and I can make better choices. Not necessarily I always make better choices, at least I'm able to observe it and then have the ability or the choice to choose. And one of the things people always say is that technology is very distracting. I don't believe so. My first response is technology is not distracting. And sometimes it is. But let me tell you a story. When I joined the monastery, which was in Hawaii, it was a traditional Hindu monastery. And how traditional Hindu monasteries work is when you actually join, you leave everything behind and everyone behind. I only spoke to my parents twice a year on the phone. There was no email or written communication with them. I never spoke to any of my friends or relatives again. I literally had to give away everything and everyone. Like, I couldn't have money in the bank account just in case monk life didn't work out. I had something to return to. And I went to the monastery with nothing. And when you join the monastery, you get 2 sets of robes, a set of beads, earrings, and a MacBook Pro. Right? Yes, I did say a Mac. Every monk is given a Mac, and when iPhones came out, every monk had an iPhone. Right? And we use technology to put our teachings online, right, and share it. And it's always interesting to me to hear people's reactions when they hear about monks and Macs. I remember this lady came to the monastery once, and she asked me a question, and I said, why don't you send me an email, and I'll send you back a response that my guru wrote, which I feel would be very insightful for you. And she looked at me kind of strangely and went, is it okay for monks to use email? And I said, of course it's okay for monks to use email, as long as there are no attachments. Oh, monk joke, sorry. I had to throw that in, okay. So, we believed in using technology, but the way we use technology is that we decided that we would use technology and not allow technology to use us, and that's really the big difference. So technology itself is extremely positive, and I'm a big technology user, but who's controlling where your awareness is going? Is the technology controlling it, or am I controlling it? And that's really the big thing. Right? So how do we concentrate? We practice concentration by doing one thing at a time and integrating this practice into our everyday life. How many of you here have a spouse or partner that you live with? So quite a few of you. What a great opportunity to practice concentration. Every time you speak with your partner or your spouse, give them your undivided attention. Keep your awareness of them. If it drifts away, gently and lovingly bring it back. It drifts away again, gently and lovingly bring it back. The more you practice this throughout the day, the better you become at concentrating. If you have employees, every time you speak with an employee or a team member from your company or your business, give them your undivided attention. Every time you drive, give the road your undivided attention. How many of you have been in a car before, driving somewhere, and the next thing you know, you're there? Do you drive the Night Rider car? How did you get there? Isn't it scary? You're in a metal box going at 110 kilometers an hour down the freeway, and you have no idea who's in charge. What a great opportunity to practice concentration. I integrate the practice of doing one thing at a time throughout the entire day, so that way I can practice concentration throughout the day. The more I practice concentration, the better I become, the more efficient my life is, the more things I actually get done in a day. Multitasking is a myth. The mind cannot actually do 2 things at one time. What's actually happening is your awareness is jumping from one thing to another so quickly, it gives you a false sense that you're actually doing 2 things at one time. So your homework today, and I'm not here to entertain you today, I'm here to hopefully share something with you. So monk homework today is to go home, pick one person in your life that you want to start giving your undivided attention to, whether it's your spouse, your child, your business partner, it doesn't matter who it is. Pick one person. The rest of the day, you can be a squirrel, you can be all over the place if you like, but every time you're with that person, give him or her your undivided attention. Every time your awareness drifts away, gently and lovingly bring it back, okay? Do you all have that one person in mind? Okay. Because all of these tools are completely useless unless you practice them, right? It doesn't really work. You have to actually apply it in your life. So this is one way to actually start developing concentration. The next thing we want to look at is to develop willpower. Let's define what willpower is. I'd like to define willpower as a mental muscle, right? So if you could draw biceps around your mind, that would be your willpower. And willpower can be developed. We're all born with varying levels of willpower. Some people have a lot of willpower. Some people don't have very much willpower. But what people don't realize is that you actually can develop more willpower the same way you can actually build muscle. How do you develop willpower? Well, there are 3 ways to develop willpower. 1, finish what you begin. 2, finish it well beyond your expectations. And 3, do a little bit more than you think you can. All of these things require effort, and that effort is will, right? So bring these 3 techniques into your everyday life. What's an example? The way I integrate tools into my life, I ask myself, what's something that I do every day? Right? That's part of my life. Whether I'm traveling or whether I'm at home, it doesn't matter. I sleep. Every day I sleep. Before I sleep, I brush my teeth, I floss, I change into my pajamas, I go to sleep. When I wake up in the morning, I finish what I begin. I finish the process of sleep. How do I finish the process of sleep? I make the bed every morning. That's me finishing the process of sleep. And it's not really about making the bed. It's about finishing what you begin so that you can develop willpower, which is a mental muscle, so that every time your awareness drifts away somewhere you don't want it to go, you can actually use that mental muscle and bring awareness back and keep it focused on what you want it to be focused on. So that's where energy will be flowing, and that's where things will be manifesting in your life. That's why you develop willpower, not to make your bed every morning, but making your bed every morning is a way to develop willpower. How many people in this room do not make their bed in the morning? What a great opportunity to develop willpower tomorrow, huh? Tomorrow you can make your bed like the 4 seasons, right? What a great opportunity. Make your bed in the morning. Finish what you begin, finish it well beyond your expectations, and do a little bit more than you think you're able to do. You have time to make breakfast in the morning, you have time to eat breakfast, you have time to wash the breakfast dishes. Okay? Very simple. Just bring it into your practice. Bring it into everything that you do. And if you can clock about 2, 3, 4 hours of developing willpower every day, after 6 months, you will have tremendous amount of willpower. And willpower is the greatest thing you can develop in life. Because with will, you can truly accomplish anything that you want. I mean, look at the people that are competing in the Olympics now. What an amazing display of willpower, right? But it can actually be developed. And teach your children these as well. If you have children, teach them these 3 techniques. Get them to bring this practice into their everyday life and develop willpower in their life. Okay? The next thing we want to look at is the topic of managing energy. Okay? This is based on the premise that we only have a finite amount of energy each day. But let's define first what managing energy is. So for me, the whole art of managing energy is about being conscious of where we direct awareness, because where awareness goes, thank you very much, where awareness goes, energy flows. Thank you very much. The rest of you, I hope you're listening. Okay. So the whole goal is to direct energy in a proportionate way to all the people and things in life that truly matter to us. We only have so much energy each day. And throughout the day, we invest our energy into people and things till we run out of energy. And that's usually around 10:30 or 11 or 11:30 at night. We have no more energy left. We're exhausted. We go to sleep. We replenish ourselves, depending on how well we sleep. And the next day, we go out and we invest our energy again into people and things. But the one thing we never do is we never evaluate who and what we're investing our energy in, right? I always tell people to treat energy the same way you treat money. Both are finite resources that need to be wisely managed, reallocated, and invested. If I said to all of you, I'm starting a new business, and if I got $2,000 or even $200 from everyone in this room here, I'd raise enough money to begin my business. How many of you would just give me $2,000? You wouldn't. You'd ask me questions. You want to know what's your business plan? What are you going to do with my money? What's the return on my investment, right? Because it's a finite resource. If you had a printer at home that was printing out $100 bills every second, would you give me $2,000? Sure, you say, here, take $4,000. But because money is a finite resource to you, you want to know where it's going. Energy is a finite resource as well. We all get exhausted at the end of the night. So why don't we ask the same questions we do when we give money? Ask someone, what are you going to do with my energy? And what's my return on this investment? What's your business plan with my energy? Are you going to waste it? Because if you have 100% of energy and you took 20% of energy and gave it to John or someone, right? That's 20% you could have invested into the people and things that you loved, right? Because you don't get it back. So you need to wisely allocate your energy, because wherever you're putting your energy is what's manifesting in your life. And what's the great impetus for managing energy in life? Why should we even do this? For me, the greatest impetus for managing energy in life is death. Death truly is the greatest impetus in life for me. It's a topic that a lot of people don't like to talk about because people don't really know very much about it. We're all raised with different backgrounds and upbringings and different faiths and religions. Some people say when you die, it's game over. Some people say when you die, you might go to heaven or hell. Some people say when you die, you get reincarnated. Some say you get reincarnated as a man or woman. Some say you can get reincarnated as a man, woman, even as an insect or an animal. But no one really quite knows, right? No one's died, gone to the other side, taken a selfie, come back, posted it on Instagram, and go, look at me, here in heaven, #pearlygates. Right? No, we don't know. We have our beliefs, and some of us hold strong to our beliefs, but we really don't know what happens at the point of death, so most of us don't like to think about it. So we live our lives like we're going to live forever. But the truth is, we don't live forever. You've never seen a 500-year-old man or a 1,000-year-old woman who have been evolving on this planet for about 1 million, 2 million years. We all die at some point. When you realize that life is finite, it's not short, and you see these cute little quotes on Instagram saying, life is short, be happy. I think that's wrong. Life is not short. Life is actually very, very long. But it's definitely finite. There's a definitive end to it for sure. When you realize that life is finite, you become clear of all of a sudden who and what's important in your life. If someone walked in here today, right now, and said that all of us only have 4 hours to live, how many of you would say for the rest of Zuricon? Wow, such loyal followers. You wouldn't, right? You'd leave, and you'd be very clear who and what you go do and who you'd go see. On your way home, would you stop at Starbucks to pick up a coffee? Probably not. If someone you didn't like called you, would you pick up the phone and talk to them? Most likely not. You'd be very clear at that point who was important in your life and what's important in your life. Shrink the time, you increase the focus. You increase the time, the focus just goes out the window. Right? If you want to be clear who and what's important in your life, just shrink the time down in your life and you become very clear right away who and what's important in your life, and that's who and what you need to invest your energy in. Right? So in terms of energy management, let's look at who are the biggest energy consumers in the world. People and things are 2 of the biggest consumers of energy, and people and things also give you energy. But since the subject is vast and time is finite, let's just look at people and look at the people that consume our energy and how we can actually deal with these people. I call these people energy vampires, right? Have you ever had the experience of being with someone and spending 10 minutes with them and then walking away and going, oh my God, that was exhausting, right? That's an energy vampire. That's what vampires do. They bite you and they suck the life out of you, right? So, well, let's look at people. There are 3 types of people, and let's keep this simple, okay? Monk simple. So there is uplifting people, there is neutral people, and then there are non-uplifting people. Okay. Let's define what they are. Uplifting person is someone you spend 10 minutes with, you walk away and you go like, wow, that was an amazing experience. I learned so much and I'm really inspired. uplifting. Neutral, I spend 10 minutes with them, I walk away and I go, still the same. Not uplifting is I spend 10 minutes with them, and then I walk away and I feel what I shared with you just now. Oh my God, that was horrible, that was exhausting. That's not uplifting. So you can say that person is an energy vampire, right? So how do you know if someone's an energy vampire? Well, we need to either judge or evaluate. What's the difference between judging and evaluating? Judging is this. I'm at a party in New York City, at a penthouse, there are 200 people in there. A guy walks in the front door wearing white shoes, a purple suit, cane, wearing a top hat. He's got a big chain with a clock hanging off his chest. I look at him from across the room and I go, he's a pimp drug dealer for sure. That's judging, right? I didn't even get to know him and I just judged. Evaluation is this. Evaluation is, if I had 50 meetings with John over a period of 2 years, 49 of them I walked away from and I went, oh my God, that was exhausting. It's safe for me to evaluate that John is an energy vampire, right? So for me, I prefer to evaluate than to judge. So once you've evaluated that someone's an energy vampire, what next? Well, there are two types of energy vampires. There are two types of energy vampires. One is a transient energy vampire, and one's an inherent energy vampire. What's a transient energy vampire? Someone who's going through a difficult time. Maybe Simon is really having a hard time because his dad is passing away or suffering the last 2-3 years. So he requires a lot more energy from you, and you give it to him. Why? Because you're a friend, and that's what we do, right? So for me, I have in my energy budget, I have 10% that's dedicated to charity, right? Which I give away freely, right? To people that I need. So 10% of the energy, sorry, do you want to fix the sound, or are we good? Okay, perfect, there we are. So transient energy vampire is someone who might be going through a hard time for a few years, but once they come out of it, they'll just default back to their uplifting self, okay? An inherent energy vampire is someone who's been always an energy vampire for decades. This is who they've been their whole life. They haven't changed, and this is who they are, right? Like my aunt, for example. She's inherently an energy vampire, right? She's always been this way, so what do I do? How do you deal with an energy vampire? But before we go to how do we deal with an energy vampire, I have a question for you. How many of you have an inherent energy vampire in your life? That's an amazing amount. Most people keep cats and dogs as pets, but they don't keep vampires as pets. Like you have a little pet vampire in your life that sucks energy from you. And the question is why, right? For every joule of energy that they take from you, that's 1 joule less of energy you could have invested into the someone or something that you love, right? And this is the way you need to look at it. It's actually the highest form of selfless service. If you allow someone to take energy away from you and use it for negative purposes, then you're denying the people and things that truly matter in your life, that energy that you could have invested in them. So how do you treat energy vampires? We practice the art of being affectionately detached. It's a phrase that my guru coined, affectionate detachment, but always kind, gentle, sincere, and loving towards them. How does that translate to real life? So just say I've evaluated safely that John is inherently an energy vampire. I'm walking down the street in 5th Avenue. I see John walking towards me. What do? Do I cross the street? That's not so polite. So John and I meet. What happens when two people meet each other on the street? What do they say? Hi, how's it going, right? How are you? I don't ask how are you. You know why? Because I don't want to know. I'm in the monk business, right? When I ask someone, how are you? They tell me their whole life story and all their problems. I'm a walking confession booth. I had a friend that once said to me, Dhandapani, you are an emotional toilet. I said, Michael, that's the best definition anyone's given me. He said, people flush their problems down you all the time. So if I know someone is inherently an energy vampire and I see them, I don't ask, how are you? Why? Because I don't want to know. So if he says hello, I say hello, good afternoon. He says, how are you, Dhandapani? I say, I'm very well, thank you so much for asking. What a cold, windy day in San Francisco. That could be my response. Then I say to him, please excuse me, I have somewhere to go and something really important to do, which I do. My life is finite, and I'm very clear where I want to invest my energy, right? So I'm being sincere. And what do people say at the end of a conversation? Was nice meeting you? No, actually, it wasn't very nice meeting you. Hope to see you again? Not really. Let's have lunch? No. Why? Why do we say the things we don't mean, and why do we ask the questions that we don't want to hear the answers to? So, be sincere and say, have a lovely day. That's being sincere. To be affectionately detached is not to engage with someone you have considered or evaluated to be an inherent energy vampire. Right? You're kind, you're loving, you're gentle. You never ever want to harm somebody or hurt them, but you're just not engaging with them. Because as soon as you don't engage, you're not allowing your awareness to go there. And if your awareness doesn't go there, what's not flowing there? Your energy. And if your energy is not flowing there, that's not manifesting in your life. Energy is a finite resource, and we really have to be wise in how we direct it in our life to create what we want. Right? So, what are one of the ways to protect yourselves from energy vampires? You place the burden of responsibility on them. What does that mean? For example, for me, people come up to me all the time and ask me for advice or insights, and I'm happy to share with them. But whenever I give someone some advice or insight, I always make sure I give them a task at the end of it. So I might say to them, here's my advice. I want you to go away. I want you to make your bed every single day for the next month. Then 3 months later, when they call me up and said, Dhandapani, I really enjoyed my conversation with you. Can we meet up again? I'd love to pick your brain about something. What's my first question to them? Have you made your bed? And the answer almost 99% of the time is no. Well, I started to, and then something came up, and I've been meaning to get back to it. And I go, well, finish what I've given you, and when you're done with that, come back and see me, because what I'm going to give you next is dependent on part one being completed. So I'm more than happy to meet with you, but please finish your task first. So if you find that you're an expert or a leader in a particular area and that people are always wanting to pick your brain, even if they're a really close friend of yours, give them a task to do. Make them prove to you that they actually are deserving of your finite energy, because for every ounce of energy, every joule of energy you give them, you're denying the people and things that truly matter to you that energy. Okay? Reallocate energy between people. Every year, at the end of the year, I make a list of all the people in my life, and I move energy between them. The same way, I treat energy the same way I treat money. If I've got 10 investments and one investment is doing really bad, I take money out of that and I invest it into something else. Same thing with people. I look at my list of people that are engaged in my life. I take a pencil, I go, Andy Locke, you're off the list, right? And I take that energy and I put it into something else. How does that mean? How does that translate to real life? It translates by me spending more time with someone else. So I take the 10% of energy I've been investing in Andy Locke and I move it to Rob Nixon, for example, and I spend more time with him. I set it up in my calendar that every 2 weeks I call him up and ask him how he's doing, or I meet him for coffee, or I have lunch with him. So reallocate energy between people throughout the year. Every year, look at the people in your life, ask yourself, who's a transient energy vampire, who's inherently an energy vampire. If they're inherently an energy vampire, take that energy, reallocate it, and put it back into the people that have been uplifting to you. Because when you look at the people in your life, some people really make a difference to you. So you want to take energy and move it to that. Remember the law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it can be transferred from one thing to another. So you can't create more energy in your life, but you can reallocate energy. So all you're doing is reallocating a finite resource to something else that is deserving of it. Okay? Take all the tools that I've shared with you, apply it one at a time in your life. Take one thing from this talk that really resonated with you and start applying it. If it's concentration, if it's giving someone your undivided attention, then start with that first. The problem with us as humans is that we try to do too much at one time, we get discouraged, and then we stop doing that. There's an old monk saying, a temple made of bricks is built one brick at a time, right? To know yourself is the greatest gift you can give yourself, truly. We all spend so much time with other people and other things in life, but we never invest any time in getting to know ourselves. If you love Xero, you might spend hours and hours truly understanding the product so you can offer it to your clients, use it for your business to benefit yourself. When someone wants to meet with you and catch up with you for coffee or drink, you'll make time for them. When was the last time you made time for yourself? How would you know what you want in life if you don't even spend time to get to know yourself? If you have a business, you would spend time to get to know the client, find out what the client wants in order to provide the best service for the client, right? So if you really want to understand what you want in life, if you want to know what you want or what your purpose in life is, you have to spend time with yourself. You have to learn how to concentrate. Because if you can't concentrate, you won't be able to sit there long enough and figure out what it is you want in life. And once you know what you want in life, you take that power of concentration and that finite amount of energy and you focus it into what you want, and that will start to manifest in life. And the byproduct of that is happiness. When you ask most people what you want in life, most people's response is happiness. Happiness shouldn't be pursued. Happiness ensues. It comes as a byproduct of living a certain way. All right? So I'd like to leave you with three things. The first two are quotes from my guru. This is a picture of him. The first one is proceed with confidence. Believe in yourself. Believe in your ability to create. One of the greatest ways to overcome fear in life is to know that you actually have the ability to create and manifest things in your life. You truly do. And in order to create and manifest something in your life, you have to understand how your mind works. Because once you can understand how your mind works, you can control it. Once you can control it, you can direct it. And you can use the powers of concentration that you've developed to focus in on what you want. And when you focus your awareness on something, that's where your energy is flowing, and that's what starts to manifest in your life. So once you start believing in your powers to create, proceed with confidence. Next, life is meant to be lived joyously. It truly is. If you're doing and living a life that's not joyous and happy, something is wrong and you need to make a change, right? We're here on this planet for a finite amount of time. Make it a good one. When my guru was dying, one of the last things he ever said was, "What an amazing life. I would not have traded it for anything in the world." And I said to myself, what beautiful words to hear from a dying man. I would love to be able to say in my last breath, look back on my life and go, what an amazing life it was. And that was just, I couldn't do it again, even if I tried. That was just fantastic. In order to do that, we really need to know what we want. But we begin by understanding our mind and learning how to manage our energy and wisely invest our energy. And lastly, I'd like to give you a small gift. I have a 5-week online course called Foundations of the Mind. If you go to learn.dhandapani.org/xeroconsf, you can download the course for free. You don't need a credit card or anything. Just leave your name and email address, and you can sign up for it. And it's going to be on there till Xerocon ends tomorrow around noon. So thank you very much, everyone. Put the tools into practice, because if you don't practice the tools, they're absolutely useless. And thank you, Xero, for having me here today. Really appreciate it. Thank you.